Chapter 1. Synchronicity. The soul's timing is never wrong. You ever lock eyes with someone, like really lock eyes, and for a split second, everything around you fades? No small talk, no introductions. Just that unexplainable drop in your chest. Like your soul just let out a long exhale. It's not chemistry, not in the usual sense. And no, it's not luck either. Carl Jung had a word for it: synchronicity. When two energies meet at the exact right moment, not because they planned to, but because they were meant to. Because something in them vibrated at the same mysterious frequency. It's rare. You don't forget it, and when it hits, it hits. The conversation flows like you've picked it up from a past life. Silence doesn't feel awkward, it feels safe. Like a warm blanket after a long day of pretending. You don't need to explain who you are. They just get it. Like they're listening past your words straight into your nervous system. And here's the part that stings. Not every soul connection is built to last. I wish someone told me that sooner. Because some people don't show up to be your forever. They show up to stir something. To rattle the cage you didn't even realize you were trapped in. They arrive like a storm, and sometimes they leave just as quickly. No closure, no clear reason. Just this echo of what the hell just happened. It can leave you confused, wounded, wondering if you imagined the whole thing. But here's the hard truth. Some people are soulmates. Others, they're soul mirrors. They don't stay, but they reflect. Your pain, your progress, your path forward. So the question isn't always, was it real? The better question is, what was it here to reveal? Because sometimes losing someone isn't the tragedy. Sometimes it's the wake-up call. Chapter 2. You attract what you haven't healed. You ever find yourself sitting there post-breakup wondering, why do I keep ending up with the same kind of person? Different face, new name, but somehow the same story, same triggers, same heartbreak, just new packaging. It's not fate, and it's definitely not bad luck. It's unhealed patterns. That's what it is. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate." I used to brush that off. Now, I get it, deeply. See, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are, or more precisely, what's still wounded inside us. If you carry old stories of abandonment, you'll fall for someone who ghosts you. If your nervous system's wired for chaos, you'll call it passion and run toward it. If you haven't made peace with your worth, you'll find someone who constantly puts it on trial. Not because the world's out to get you, but because your soul is trying to get your attention. Pain, annoying as it is, has this wild ability to point right at the thing that needs healing. Relationships don't wound us, they expose the wound that was already there, and yet we blame them. We call them narcissists. We label them toxic. And sure, some are, but sometimes they were just the mirror. Because that's what relationships are, mirrors. They show you your cracks, your patterns, your shadows. They hold up the reflection you didn't want to see, but absolutely needed to. Until one day, if you're lucky, you stop asking why did they hurt me and start asking why did I feel so familiar with this pain. That's when the real healing starts. Chapter 3. Not all soulmates stay. Let's talk about the ones who felt like lightning. They didn't walk into your life, they struck it. No warning, no prelude, just boom. And suddenly everything's different. You weren't searching, you weren't ready, but there they were. And your soul said yes, that one. The connection was unreal. Conversations that didn't need clocks. Eye contact that made you forget language. A weird, sacred familiarity. So of course you thought it was destiny. Of course you thought it would last. But then, it didn't. They left. And all you're left with is the echo of what once felt like everything. You question yourself. You question them. You try to trace the moment it slipped away. But here's something I've learned. Not all soulmates are meant to stay. Yes, it was real. No, you weren't imagining it. But that doesn't mean they were your forever. Some people are sent to awaken you, to rattle your numbness, to remind you of your fire, to show you the parts of yourself you've neglected. They're not your home, they're the earthquake. And yes, it hurts, deeply, because growth does, and because we've been taught to equate depth with duration, like something only mattered if it lasted a lifetime. But the soul doesn't measure by time, it measures by impact. Some connections are karmic, some are catalytic, some are chaos in human form, and that chaos is the medicine. They don't show up to complete you, they show up to unearth you, and if you don't learn what they came to teach, the lesson loops. Same pattern, different person, again and again, until you finally pause and ask, what was I meant to learn through this? Because every storm doesn't just leave damage, it clears space. And one day when the ache softens, you'll realize they weren't here to love you forever. They were here to teach you how to love yourself in a way no one ever had. That's when the healing lands. That's when the soul exhales. And that's when you stop calling their exit abandonment and start calling it a sacred turning point. Because the deepest soulmate you'll ever meet is the version of you who decided to stop chasing pain and started choosing peace. Zapitativ ChatGPT. Chapter 4. Love begins with wholeness, not hunger. Meeting two personalities is like mixing chemicals. If there's a reaction, both change. Carl Jung. We grow up inside a story, one that whispers that love will fix everything. You know, the one, someone out there is going to complete you. Like you're a puzzle missing a piece. But let's get brutally honest for a second. No one can complete you if you haven't done the work of becoming whole on your own. That's not romantic, that's just reality. Because love that comes from hunger, that's not love, it's neediness in disguise. It's clinging, it's patching emotional holes with someone else's presence. And let's be real, that's not sustainable. You attract who you are, not who you wish you were, and definitely not who you pretend to be. If there's chaos brewing in your soul, if your sense of self is still tangled in confusion or old wounds, then guess what? You'll find people who echo that chaos, not to punish you, but because energy is precise like that. It mirrors. This is why people stuck in insecurity often fall for the emotionally unavailable. Why the lonely settle for whatever's available. It's not bad luck. It's not cosmic betrayal. It's frequency. And frequency is way more honest than your words are. Energy doesn't answer to your longing. It answers to your beliefs. What you actually feel about yourself deep down. That's what it tunes into. That's the signal. So if you're out there looking for someone to rescue you, to fill you, to validate you, you'll find people who stir the same longing. Not wholeness. They'll be intense, sure. Sparks will fly. But intensity without stability, that's a wildfire. Burns fast, leaves ashes. You'll call it passion. You'll swear it's chemistry. But in hindsight it'll feel more like addiction. The kind rooted in childhood pain. Not soulful love. Because real love doesn't spike your nervous system. It settles it. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It shows up with presence. And here's the kicker. It doesn't start when you meet someone else. It starts when you become someone you'd want to love. Not perfect. Just grounded. Integrated. Wholeness doesn't mean you're above pain or never triggered. It means you stop expecting someone else to bandage every wound. You take responsibility. You self-soothe. You meet your shadows without running. When you get to that place, that grounded, peaceful place, you stop chasing chaos. You don't settle for temporary highs. You magnetize people who are on the same wavelength. It's subtle but profound. That's not magic. That's emotional physics. When your frequency shifts, your patterns do too. Suddenly the ones who once lit you up feel overwhelming. The ones who ignored you irrelevant. And those rare souls who vibe with the healed version of you, they start appearing almost effortlessly. Love doesn't find you when you're desperate, it finds you when you're no longer begging for it. It arrives when you've stopped searching for someone to complete you, because you've already chosen to complete yourself. And that's when love stops being a transaction. It becomes a transformation, not two broken pieces clinging in fear, but two whole humans choosing each other in truth. So yeah, if your heart keeps breaking, if you're tired of reruns that end in the same kind of ache, stop looking outward. Start healing inward. Raise your standards, raise your frequency, because when your energy evolves, your love life will too. Chapter 5. The Illusion of Forever. We were all sold a fantasy, early. The fairy tales, the vows, the movies where love conquers all and somehow always lasts. And so we believed that when it's real, it's forever, that if it ends, it must have been fate. But life eventually whispers a deeper truth. Not every love is meant to last. And that doesn't make it meaningless, it just makes it human. Every soul has a season. Some people arrive to open your heart, others to break it so you can rebuild. Some lift you, some reflect you, some warn you, some wake you the hell up. But none of them, not even the hard ones, are wasted. The mistake we make, trying to preserve something that's already complete, we cling, we negotiate, we lower ourselves trying to stay in a space we've outgrown. Then comes the suffering, not because they changed, but because we did and refused to admit it. When your energy shifts, when your self-awareness expands, certain connections start to fray. It's not personal, it's energetic. No one is the villain, it's just that your soul and theirs are no longer dancing to the same rhythm. You can try to squeeze back into that relationship like it's a pair of jeans from 5 years ago, but it'll hurt. You'll bleed for it, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because love isn't a cage, it's a current, and sometimes the current changes course. The hardest part, knowing when to let go, even when the memories are still soft, even when there's no big fight, just distance. Silence, the knowing, that's when courage is required. The courage to stop forcing what no longer fits. The courage to honor what was without sacrificing what is. Letting go doesn't mean it wasn't real. It means you love yourself enough not to stay somewhere that no longer nourishes your spirit. You're not losing them, you're discovering you. Because the old version of you needed that relationship. The new version, she's different. She sees clearer, chooses deeper, loves freer, and she doesn't build homes in people who only bring temporary shelter. So stop resurrecting what's over. Stop texting ghosts. Stop shrinking to fit into expired love stories. Bless the bond, bow to the lesson, and move forward. Whole, awake, unafraid. Because forever, it was never the point. Freedom. Chapter 6. The mirror never lies. Quote, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung. Let's not sugarcoat it, we all have triggers. People who rub us the wrong way. stir up something inside, make us spiral. And the easy move, blame them. They ghosted, they disrespected, they changed. But what if, hear me out, they were just mirrors, showing you parts of yourself you're still avoiding. Your triggers aren't random, they're laser precise, designed by your subconscious to deliver a message. When someone hits a nerve, don't just react. Pause. Ask, what is this reflecting? Because every tough interaction, every complicated relationship, every heartbreak is a mirror. It reveals where you're still bleeding, where your armor's cracked, where the past still lives in your present. That person you can't get over, the one you dissect in your head. Reread text from. They weren't your destiny. They were your unfinished business. What they really brought up was your fear, your sense of not being enough, your need for someone else to make you feel worthy. Slow. You don't need their closure, you need your clarity. Because often what we chase in others is the very thing we deny ourselves. Their silence echoes your fear of being forgotten. Their coldness mirrors your own emotional self-abandonment. It's not about blame. It's about becoming conscious. When you realize people are mirrors, not enemies, you stop trying to control them and start healing yourself. Slow. You'll notice something powerful. The ones who lift you up. They reflect the healed parts of you. The ones who trigger you. They reflect the wounded parts. And both matter deeply. Because one shows you what's possible. The other shows you what's unfinished. The problem, most of us run from the second one. We block. We ghost. We jump to someone new, thinking the pattern will vanish. But the mirror always returns. Different face, same lesson. Until one day you look, not to judge, but to understand. That's when things shift. That's when the cycle breaks. That's when the healing starts. So next time someone stirs something in you, ask, what part of me needs my own attention right now? It's not weakness. It's the beginning of power. Because mirrors never lie. They just reflect what you're finally ready to see. Silence. Chapter 7. When two whole souls meet. There's this moment that sneaks up on you, usually after you've been through the ringer. After the toxic highs and soul-splitting lows. After nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if you're too broken to ever be loved properly. Then something clicks. You stop chasing the ones who run. Stop shape-shifting just to be accepted. Stop begging for crumbs of affection from tables you weren't meant to sit at in the first place. And instead, you turn inward. You do the work. Not the pretty, Instagrammable self-care kind. I'm talking about the real stuff, the gut-wrenching kind. The kind where you stand in front of your own damn mirror and say, okay, let's unpack this. You revisit childhood lies, the ones that whispered, you're only lovable if you earn it. You stop ghosting your own shadows. You learn how to give yourself the praise, the softness, the belonging you used to beg others for. And somewhere in that mess, you begin to heal. Not in some perfect linear way, but enough to hold your own gaze, enough to stop apologizing for your own existence. Then out of nowhere, but not really, someone arrives. But here's the twist. They're not here to fix you. They couldn't, even if they tried. They're not the missing piece. Because, surprise, you were never missing. They're just there in sync with your growth, meeting you where you are. Silence. No games. No anxiety dressed up as passion. No manipulation that feels like a high and a crash in the same breath. Just calm. Just recognition. Just peace. You don't have to audition for their love. You don't shrink to fit their comfort. You don't spiral when they go quiet because they feel like home. Not a puzzle, This kind of love, it doesn't light you on fire, it warms you, steady, safe. You laugh without looking over your shoulder. You sleep like your nervous system finally got the memo, we're safe now. And no, they're not perfect, but you're no longer collapsing every time someone else stumbles. Because you've learned to hold yourself. You don't need them to patch your holes, you've already done that, threaded each tear with intention, grace, and a bit of grit. So when two whole souls meet, it's not Hollywood, it's not fireworks and choreographed kisses. It's magic, but grounded, a quiet kind of powerful. It's not obsession, it's resonance. Like two travelers, weary but awake, finally locking eyes across lifetimes of searching. You don't complete each other. You complement, you enhance. Like two songs in the same key, but different melodies. Their love doesn't fix your life. It just adds depth to the joy you've already started building. Their presence doesn't make you whole, it reminds you you've been whole all along. And that kind of love, it's sacred, not because it's dramatic, but because it's honest, effortless, rooted in clarity. It's what shows up after you stop settling for chaos disguised as chemistry. It's the reward for saying yes to your own becoming. So if you're in the thick of the work right now, still shedding, still learning how to sit in silence without flinching, don't stop. Because when you're solid within yourself, when you've chosen peace over performance, that's when your person appears. Silence, not to rescue you, but to rise with you. The Carl Jung challenge. Here's the challenge. And it's not mine, it's life's top, looking for someone to love you. Start becoming someone worth loving by your own standard. Because the love you're craving, that soul deep, gut level, grounded connection, it doesn't live in someone else's arms. It's curled up inside you. That person you keep dreaming of, they can't meet you until you've met yourself. And I don't mean just the parts that get applause, the shiny wins, the ambition, the confidence. I'm talking about the messy pieces, the guilt you never talk about, the shame that silences you, the stories that still sting when you say them out loud. Quote, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung, you've been dreaming. It's time to wake up. Look inward, face the ache, sit in the wreckage until you see gold in the dust. Tear down every lie that told you you had to earn your worth. Here's what I know, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you embody. So if you want a love that's whole, become whole. If you want a connection that's sacred, treat yourself like something sacred. If you want peace, be the peace. Do the work, answer the call. Because when your energy shifts, the ones who are meant for you, they don't just show up, they gravitate toward you, like it's inevitable. Not luck, alignment. Silence, this is your challenge. This is your shift. This is your awakening. Are you ready? If you felt this in your chest, if your gut clenched or your eyes stung just a little, that's not random. That's your soul tapping the table. Like, hey, we're done waiting. This is your sign, your mirror, your moment. No more running. No more waiting for someone to hand you permission to matter. No more romanticizing chaos like it's a badge of depth. Now go, do the hard thing. Look in the mirror. Name the wound, forgive the wounder. Not for them, for your freedom. Let go of what no longer fits. Step into who you were always becoming. Because real growth, it doesn't yell, it doesn't need to be posted. It shows up in how you breathe, how you treat yourself when no one's watching, how you walk away from what once defined you, silence. If you're truly ready, say it out loud, or write it below. I am evolving, not to impress anyone but to affirm it for yourself. Let the algorithms do what they do. You bring the truth. This journey, it was never about validation. It's about becoming undeniable. Slow And it starts as it always does, from within. Silence. We talked about synchronicity, soul mirrors, and why not every deep connection is meant to last, but every one is meant to transform. Explore the unconscious with us. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video.